Welcome to Bet Haven, the safe place for safe plays. As you can tell, I'm not in studio. My partner in crime has the sniffles, and therefore I'm not going anywhere near there. I'm not going to do it in studio, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I wanted to give you my Thursday night showdown slate strategy. Okay, NFL opening kickoff. We got the Chiefs and the Ravens in Kansas City. Now, the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl victory. They also played in this game last year and opened against the Lions and lost. I don't anticipate them losing again in this spot. I think that the Chiefs should be a little extra motivated. There was some off-season chatter too about some Kermit the Frog stuff picking at Mahomes, and I don't know. I see a motivated team here with the Chiefs, and so that's kind of what I'm going to go with. I'm going to do Rashee Rice as my captain. Rashee Rice in the playoffs averaged 8.25 targets per game. That's a pretty big number in targets, especially considering his price on DraftKings is not super high. It's not up there with Kelsey. It's down quite a bit actually, and it gives you options to go to Mahomes and Lamar underneath him, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go Rice up top with Mahomes and Lamar. And then you can kind of fill in the blank based on your game theory. If you think that, maybe Lamar throws it to Andrews, which I've got some thoughts about Andrews. I mean, Andrews is just coming off of the injury report on Monday. He just came off the injury report now. And, people are saying, well, now that he's back and he's healthy, he'll be the guy, and Likely, who I think highly of. Isaiah Likely won't see the field. He won't see as many snaps, but just because you get off of the injury report doesn't mean you're just magically healthy now. Mark Andrews suffered a very severe injury last year and didn't come back until the playoff game against the Chiefs, in which he probably shouldn't have played, honestly. He was pretty ineffective. I think 2 catches, 15 yards. Then was involved in a car accident this summer. There's a very good chance in my mind that Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews split time more like 50-50 instead of 80-20 like it had been in the past. Isaiah Likely's gotten a lot more experience, and I just feel like he is a very good player and could potentially see some targets here at a very cheap price. I think he's $2,600 on DraftKings. So I like him a little bit, not so much Andrews for me. And then, it's kind of an interesting way to go from there. You can go with you could go Pacheco, who I like. Pacheco is starting running back Kansas City Chiefs, and his 2 backups are Carson Steele, who's we don't really know much about him. He's the min price on DraftKings, actually. He's $200, so it kind of brings up an interesting play. I don't personally love it. I don't think he sees the field much. And you got Samaje Perine, who's probably his true backup, who's just been added to the team 5 days ago. He probably only knows some of the playbook, if we're being honest. But I would expect him to be the backup. Him scoring a touchdown is probably a bit of a reach, but I could definitely see him getting the ball, especially late if they're up. Kind of weird scenarios. But with this showdown slate, you're going to really need to think about your game theory, think about how you think the game is going to go down, and build off of that. I would personally recommend wide receiver in the captain spot, and then play both quarterbacks, and then go from there. That's my take. I think that a lot of people are going to want to play Lamar in the captain spot, and that's fine. But once you do that, you've spent a ton of your money, and there's no stack. There's no piece to go with him. If you play, Andrews in the captain spot with Lamar, then Lamar can throw Andrews a touchdown. You're getting both points, and Andrews would be cheaper, or not cheaper. He would be less owned in the captain spot than Lamar. Again, that's a weird scenario. I don't really like that. I personally prefer Rice in the captain spot, bringing it back with Mahomes and Lamar, and then figuring out the rest of my team from there based on how much money I have remaining. So that's the breakdown. That's the slate. Probably going to be in the Millie Maker, guys. I am not an advocate of entering into the Millie Maker usually, or at least high stakes contests. But in Showdown, I think you have a much higher chance of winning. $1 million in a high contest with less entries. Say you only make 5 entries. I think that it's actually possible. You just have to make sure that you're building weird enough that somebody else isn't going to have that same lineup. So don't build the like super obvious chalky play where you spend all the money, you have $0 remaining. Somebody else is going to create that lineup. Leave $1,000 on the table. It's not unheard of in Showdown. Leave $1,500 on the table. Instead of picking the obvious captain, pick a weird captain. Pick likely a captain or Bateman or somebody that you think that is not going to be as obvious of a choice. And if they have that game of their career or of their season, you might cash $1 million based on that. And I think that's the strategy as far as the Millie Maker goes. Make your lineups weird enough where they're not going to be duped by somebody else, and you can have a chance to actually beat those guys that have the simulators and the tools and everything to make 150 lineups when you're only going to hand build 5. So that's my breakdown. Didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Good luck. Maybe somebody cashes $1 million.